So, India, touted as pre-tournament favorites for the T20 World Cup, right? Well, they just got absolutely crushed by South Africa in the Super 8s. And look, this isn't just about one bad game. This loss basically ripped the bandage off some really deep underlying issues that have been kind of hiding in plain sight. Okay, let's dive in and really unpack what happened, and more importantly, what it means for India's survival in this tournament. All right, here's our game plan for this explainer. We're going to start with the brutal result of that match. Then we'll get into why this wasn't just bad luck. It was luck running out. We'll pinpoint the crisis in the batting order, see how that throws the whole team off balance, tackle the scary math of the net run rate, and then wrap it up with the urgent call for some bold changes. Okay, so let's set the scene. It's a massive Super 8s match. A win is pretty much essential to get to the semifinals. You can just feel the pressure.
This number right here, this is where the story really begins. Minus 3.8. That's India's new net run rate. And let me tell you, that's not just a bad number, it's an absolute catastrophe. It puts their whole tournament campaign on life support. So the question is, how on earth did they get here?
Well, here's the simple, brutal math. South Africa puts up a really tough 187 on the board. And India, they just completely collapsed, all out for 111. That's a 76-run loss. In a T20 tournament, a margin that big doesn't just lose you the game, it absolutely demolishes your net run rate, which leads us right back to that disastrous number we just saw. Now, it's pretty easy to just write this off as a bad day at the office, right? But the thing is, the source material we're looking at says this was no accident. It was inevitable. This was a collapse that was a long time coming, because the team had been riding a serious wave of good luck. And this quote just hits the nail on the head. It perfectly captures the whole idea. See, winning against weaker teams early on, well, it papered over some fundamental problems. But once you get to the Super 8s, you're up against top-tier teams like South Africa, and suddenly, there's nowhere left to hide. And look, this isn't just a feeling. There's actual evidence. Against the USA, Surya Kumar Yadav gets dropped, a huge moment that saved the day. Then, against the Netherlands, Shivam Dubé survives a super close umpire's call, and Surya gets dropped again. Even in that massive win against Pakistan, if we're being honest, the batting was pretty inefficient. So yeah, India was winning, but they weren't fixing the flaws. And then, their luck just ran out. So what is this huge flaw we're talking about? Well, according to the source, it's a structural problem right in the heart of the batting lineup. It's a blueprint that is just completely wrong for modern T20 cricket. Let's talk about this idea of the anchoring role. Traditionally, it's a player who bats cautiously to stop a collapse. Sounds sensible, doesn't it? Well, in the super fast-paced world of T20, the source calls this approach a tactical disaster. It just kills all your momentum and puts an insane amount of pressure on the other batters to score at an impossible rate. And the data makes the problem pretty darn clear. Just look at these strike rates. Tilak Varma is scoring at just under 119. Surya Kumar Yadav, even with a decent average, is only at 127. In a format where the winning teams have guys scoring at 150 plus, these numbers just aren't going to get the job done. So, what's the solution? That's the big question, right? The source suggests a really bold change. Tilak Varma is clearly struggling, so why not bring in Sanju Samson? He's got more experience, and most importantly, he has a much greater ability to hit the ball and score fast, which is exactly what the T20 format demands from your number 3. You see, this batting crisis doesn't just exist on its own. It creates this huge domino effect that messes with the entire balance of the team, and it especially weakens the bowling attack. Think about it like this. To protect the batters who aren't scoring runs, the team management decides to pack the lineup with more batting depth. But that comes at a huge cost. A specialist bowler, a key seamer or spinner, has to be sacrificed. They're left on the bench. And this means the bowling unit can't build or sustain any pressure, which is exactly what we saw happen against South Africa. Okay, let's circle back to the immediate problem that all these issues created, that absolutely devastating net run rate. We really need to understand the steep climb India is now facing just to stay in this tournament. This visual really puts it all into perspective. Just look where India is, deep in the negative, at minus 3.8, while the other teams in the group are sitting pretty up in the positive. This isn't just a gap, it's a chasm. It means India doesn't just have to win its next game. They have to win it by an enormous, enormous margin. This is the question on everyone's mind. Given all the strategic flaws and the horrible mathematical situation they're in, what's the path forward? Is there even one? And this brings us to the only possible answer. The source material is crystal clear on this. This is a moment that demands decisive, courageous action. No more waiting around. And really, this is the bottom line. Sticking with the same players and the same flawed strategy that got you into this mess and just hoping for a different outcome, well, that's not a plan. That's a prayer. A change isn't just recommended at this point. It is absolutely essential for survival. So we end with this. The team is truly at a crossroads. One path is to play it safe, trust the players that got them here, and hope they suddenly find form. The other path? Make a bold, strategic gamble, like bringing in someone like Sanju Samson. The choice they make next, well, it's likely going to decide their entire World Cup fate.